Yo, what is happening, fanbase? Welcome back to the biggest flexes in anime. One of YouTube's greatest series of all time, and a series that has been on the hiatus for approximately a month. The reason for this is simple. You failed to meet the last like goal, and therefore I decided, hey, nothing pushing me to make this sooner. So, last time I asked for 80,000 likes and you failed to reach it. This time I'm asking for 60,000 likes, and if you successfully get this to over 60,000 likes, I will upload Biggest Flexes in Anime 16 within the next week. Man, it feels good to be doing this again. I love Biggest Flexes in Anime. And I've devised some really awesome flexes to talk about today. Feels good to be back. First flex. I wanted to talk about this scene from Code Geass. This flex is pretty huge. I mean, Code Geass has a lot of flexes. Lelouche is one of the biggest flexers in anime. The guy goes around flexing his IQ on his opponents, and then they're like, holy cow, how did he outsmart all of us? And he's not telling everyone that it's just like mind control, and everyone's like, holy flip, this guy, his IQ must be so big he can like use magic. And little do they know that's actually the truth. So, the certain flex I wanted to talk about today was in Code Geass R2, and it's a scene that a lot of people had complaints about. People were upset that this scene even existed, but little did they know that while logically it wasn't 100% sound, flex-wise, I'm proud it existed. At one point in Code Geass R2, they wanted to make a special Japanese zone, so the Japanese people could live there without calling themselves 11s because they were under the dominion of this tyrannical government, Britannia. And even though I thought this was like a classic anime that everyone watched, I bump into more and more people that haven't watched Code Geass. So I am not going to be spoiling any plot points here, but Lelouche has this alter ego Zero, the most wanted man in the world. He has this whole cool getup thing. His helmet is in the shape of the crown of the Black King chess piece, and that very much represents what he does in the story. He goes second. He never moves first, just like the black side of the chessboard, and he is the king. If you take down the king, everyone crumbles, but he alone can command his troops to victory. Yes, there are a lot of very cool chess metaphors. I love Code Geass. It's one of my favorite anime of all time, and one of the deals Zero made with the Britannian government when they were setting up this special Japanese zone was that they would banish Zero from Japan. This works out for everyone. If there's a Japanese zone, well then Zero has no further purpose liberating Japan. And Britannia doesn't want Zero there. So this is like a win-win. And when they say, yes, we banish Zero, massive smoke clouds come up and 1 million people that were in the Japanese zone dressed up as Zero. And since they decided and they phrased their law to banish Zero, being that Zero is not an individual, but Zero is a concept in the world of Code Geass, he mobilizes 1 million people and gets them offshore because they are all under the same symbol of Zero. I'm sorry. People complain that, oh, that's actually stupid. Britannia wouldn't like that, and they wouldn't have anything that they could do about it. There's no way to prove who Zero is, so it's not like they can actually change their opinions, and changing their verdict would just be wishy-washy on their rulings. Politically, it's not the single most sound strategy in Code Geass. The strategies are far better and far bigger, but I think it was a great double trap on Lelouche's part, and even more than that, it's a flex. He manages to make this whole massive party where he has the Britannians themselves mobilize 1 million of his own troops and gets them successfully out of the country, which is something Britannia just successfully thought that they stopped him from doing. The flex was huge. You said that Zero must leave Japan, and all 1 million of us are Zero. Code Geass is so goddamn good. Next flex. I wanted to talk about Dr. Frank N. Stein from Soul Eater. So looking back at the previous 14 episodes of the biggest flexes in anime, 14 wonderful episodes that YouTube will forever remember as probably the greatest anime series to ever hit this platform, I never mentioned Soul Eater. There are a lot of good Soul Eater flexes, and well, while a lot of people wanted me to talk about Death the Kid, or Maka's dad, I always wanted to talk about Excalibur. Flexing on everyone. Okay, but Excalibur will wait for another time. Today we're talking about Frank and Stein. When I think of amazing characters in Soul Eater, there are definitely a few that stand out. Soul Eater overall has an amazing cast, and none do I like better than Excalibur, the greatest character of all time. Say it with me now. Excalibur, Excalibur. This absolute mad lad trolls everyone, even though he's the most powerful weapon ever. No one uses him just because he's so annoying. Huge flex on Excalibur's part. Extremely cool, Excalibur. Imagine a force of evil evil is coming to destroy the universe, and you don't know what you're gonna do. Now, Excalibur is this ridiculously broken thing, and anyone could use him, but they'd rather not. They'd rather fight evil with far weaker weapons where they don't know if they'll succeed because Excalibur is too annoying to deal with. Come on, how huge of a flex is that? Absolute mad lad, Excalibur. I love you, bro. But while I would like to dedicate this entire biggest flexes in anime video to Excalibur, who is, as I've mentioned before, the deepest written character in all of fiction, I want to see a spin-off movie about just Excalibur, damn it. For you non-Soul Eater fans that are watching this video, you probably think I'm nuts. And to be fair, you're right. But today, Dr. Frank N. Stein, the teacher of Soul Eater Academy. So, memes aside, Dr. Stein is my second favorite character in Soul Eater. And his introduction is quite the huge flex. When the series starts, there are three basic groups of main characters. There's Maka, there's Black Star, and there's Death the Kid. These three characters each get their own episode in the beginning of the show, basically to level them on an even footing as the series protagonists. And being that we're starting off with three really solid protagonists, aside from Maka, because she's a shonen wham and I didn't really like her, to be honest. She's just pretty bland, not gonna lie. And I didn't like Black Star because he was all the annoying parts of Naruto bumbled into a single character. That the Kid was an absolute mad lad, so at least I liked one of the protagonists. Well, in episode 4, they all get together. At long last, they're like semi-friendly, semi-rivalish, things are going nicely, and then they have to fight Frank and Stein before realizing he's a teacher. And even though in their individual episodes, each of them are pretty awesome. I mean, you got Maka fighting like these stupid mafia guys and some Jack the Ripper demon. You got Death the Kid, who's probably introduced as the strongest of the three. He just has massive OCD issues, and he can't break anything symmetrical. So if his opponent is this beautifully symmetrical sarcophagus monster, he can't hurt it until it starts cracking, and then it's not symmetrical, and then he has no problem destroying it. Whatever, the guy's a psycho. Maybe that's kind of why I like him. And then there's Black Star, who's really powerful, but as I've mentioned, all of the annoying parts of early Naruto just stuffed into an individual character. These three mad lads and their weapons, Soul, Tsubaki, and Death the Kid's twin pistol sisters, all join forces to fight this strange creature, Dr. Frankenstein. And he beats all of them. Now, you shouldn't be surprised. He's the teacher. Obviously, the teacher has to be stronger. Of course, he ends up beating all of them, but he beats all of them without getting off his chair. That's right. He sits on a rolly chair, rolls and twirls around on said rolly chair with no weapons. And that is how he defeats the 7 main characters. Yes, this is a huge flex. The guy could get up, at least make them sort of feel good about the situation. But to beat them all in a rolly chair? God damn it. Mad respect, Dr. Frank N. Stein. I do recommend Soul Eater if you were looking for more anime recommendations. It's actually really solid until the finale, which veered off the manga and was absolute garbage, in which case you could just read the manga to the end. The characters are stellar, though. Frank, I love you. Next flex! I've already talked about some pretty huge flexes in Hunter x Hunter, and I've never really talked about Chrollo Lucifer, because, to be honest, even though he's one of my favorite characters, he does not flex a lot. He kind of knows how the game works. He doesn't just go out there exclaiming his powers to Zawada just because he's so awesome. I like him for his more silent, somber, tragic moments, honestly, than even his very badass ones. And that said, he does have one pretty massive flex. And for that, I'll need to tell you a little bit about Nen, the power system in Hunter x Hunter. Now, everyone's going to be telling you about the more generic side of Nen. Oh, and they use conditions to make themselves stronger. Okay, that's all lovely and dandy. Nen is a mind game. Nen abilities start off extremely basic, like, you know, make your punches stronger, make you jump higher, and the plain old generic garbage that every power system does. But it also gets so fine-tuned and unique, it almost becomes like JoJo stand battles where trying to figure out your opponent's Nen abilities takes literally decades. And I mean literally decades. Have you read the Succession War arc in the manga? You can have a full chapter of Kurapika just calculating what a random guard's Nen ability is and still end up being wrong, okay? He was close, but he wasn't completely dead on. Because Nen abilities are based on personality, psychology, but also whatever you want to develop them as. So you can get the most fine-tuned crap you'll never imagine in a zillion years. That is the terrifying aspect of Nen powers and why you should never ever divulge what you can do to your opponents. So when Chrollo fights Hisoka in the manga, and I will not spoil how this fight goes, Chrollo starts off the fight by explaining his Nen powers to Hisoka and then saying, yeah, I'm explaining to you how this all works because even if you know, you still have no chance of winning. That is a huge flex on Chrollo's part, and I guess he was also memeing on Hisoka because Hisoka's the guy that says, ooh, punching gum, it shares the attributes of both rubber and gum. Thank you, Hisoka. Very cool. We've heard that once or twice. But Chrollo just laying out flat without mind games exactly what his Nen does before fighting Hisoka is the terrifying satisfying backdrop to the entire battle. Chrollo versus Hisoka is one of the greatest fights in all of manga history, and I can't wait for it to get animated. But we know it's going to be a tough fight on both sides, but the confidence oozing from Chrollo as he explains what his powers are to Hisoka is one of the biggest flexes in anime. Next flex! So with Food Wars Season 4 going on right now, I've already talked about Joichiro Saiba, the main character's pop, but today I'm going to be talking about Yukihira Soma, the main character of Food Wars. So in case you didn't know, Food Wars is a anime about cooking. Yes, I know, sounds pretty generic, but it's some of the most balls to the walls action you've ever seen. The power system in Food Wars is cooking, and aside from that, it's a battle shonen like any other. It's like Fortnite, but with food. Okay, it's a lot better than that. I'm not going to try to stick with that metaphor. It's this ridiculously cutthroat academy where if you don't do well, you get kicked out. And if you're kicked out of this academy, well, then no food places are going to want to hire you because they only want the super top guys that actually excel through this academy. Because if you actually pass, then your career is officially made. It's cutthroat, it's tough, and it's typical anime high school. You know, fight to the deaths, food style. You can basically swap out every single food off with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel, and it'll kind of sit in place. Every time I see Soma up against someone, that someone's like, I tribute my roast pork and my sun-dried tomatoes to special summon Blue Eyes White Sushi! And then Soma's like not scared at all because he just drew the final piece of Exodia, which also happens to be whatever random crap he found in the back of his drawer that he fused together to form the ultimate creation. Squid tentacles and peanut butter, obliterate! Hell yeah, this anime knows how to hype things up. And well, when Soma's introduced to the school, you don't want to make enemies, because if you make enemies, they try to get you and prank you, and if they do, and you don't do as well in a test, they kick you out, ruin your career. Life sucks. So obviously, he has to be very light in his toes. He can't go around just flexing on people, can he? Well, based on that question, I assume you already know the answer to that. His opening speech is essentially, hi, I'm gonna take the #1 spot. You all suck, please don't get in my way. And while I had to take this #1 spot, I'm gonna have a lot of fun doing it, because cooking is awesome. And I know you all came from like super highly esteemed restaurants and stuff. I came from a rinky-dink diner, and I'm still gonna kick y'all butts. Nice to meet you. Not exactly something that went over well with the majority of the student body. In fact, they all kind of hated him. The shy people wanted to stay away from him, and the more outward people very much tried to get him expelled. The flex was huge, and that's all nice and dandy, but he pokes fights with everyone. If they don't follow his code of ethics, and when I say code of ethics, I mean no attacking your opponent's life points directly with filet mignon when your opponent has Burger King's foot lettuce in defense position. And I could just go on and on, because this little guy from nowhere kicks a lot of butt, and honestly, he flexes for the entirety of the show. Shokugeki no Soma is basically food flexes, and I know that the English called it Food Wars, but Food Flexes is definitely a more accurate title. Funimation, if you're looking to hire a top-tier marketer, hit me up. Wink, wink. But on second thought, you might not want to do that, because if I see a really boring anime title, I'm just gonna call it hentai or something to spice things up, and that's not exactly great for marketing. But hey, Funimation, if you're interested, you know where to contact your boy. In any case, my favorite flex of Soma's in the entirety of Food Wars is when he fights Aizen. No, not Aizen from Bleach. Aizen from Food Wars. That's right, one of the top 10 of the elite 10 students in the entire school. Now, I don't know why it's like this, probably because it's anime and not real life, but these top 10 cook students in the school, they actually make up like rules in the actual school, because if they're that good a cook, they must also be brilliant masterminds in the art of ethics and student training. Spoilers, they ain't! And Aizen is a scumbag. He's an amazing cook, mind you. He definitely earned his spot in the elite 10, but this guy runs the business side of things a little too hard. He wants things to follow his exact regimen, and anything that sticks out in any way is something he wants to eliminate. He makes an easy early enemy with Yukihira Soma, someone who sticks out literally in every way ever. So he's like, all right, Soma, I challenge you to a food fight. Not food fight as in the food fight in Ruby. I mean food fight like Yu-Gi-Oh style food fight like I was describing very accurately before. By the way, fun fact, when I cook eggs myself, because that's basically the limit of my cooking prowess, I make sure I always have a trap card ready just in case. You've activated my garlic powder quick play spell card. Okay, enough of this. Point is, Aizen gets his way, because whenever he finds someone that's pissing him off and he challenges them to a Shokugeki and they actually battle, the judges always vote for Aizen. They're in his corner and they're bribed to just vote for him every single time. Now, they probably don't need to, because Aizen could beat the average guy that he actually goes up against, but it's just an extra layer of security. Now, he challenges Shokugeki to Soma, and Soma is like, okay, I'll do it. And Soma's friends are like, that's pretty dumb of you, because, you know, he has all those judges that are just gonna vote for him anyway, even if you win, and your life is kind of on the line. Metaphorical life, of course, because if you can't cook, you can't live. Can't eat, you can't live. This brilliant philosophical understanding understanding of the human body in Food Wars, you understand. And basically, Soma says, I don't care. I'll food battle you anyway, which doesn't sound very smart. Anyway, he goes up against Aizen. Aizen cooks a really cool food. It's pretty awesome. All the judges orgasm and stuff, like, you know, typical anime food eating. And then Soma gives his food to the judges, and they orgasm a lot harder. When they eat Soma's food, they are blown into a different universe. That is how awesome it was. But they're still bribed to vote for Aizen, even if Soma's food is better. Aizen wasn't trying his hardest because he knew the judges were bribed anyway, but you don't understand. Soma accepted this, knowing that the judges were bribed, just to flex on Aizen that his food will be so superior, it will put them in an orgasm where they physically can't vote for Aizen, and Soma takes the W! Yes! This was the most hype goddamn thing of all time. He flexed so hard. Aizen was destroyed. He made an enemy for Laifu, but aside from that, this was the biggest W ever. Can you imagine voting a food competition where honestly you're just gonna taste it, but it doesn't matter because you're just gonna vote for one guy anyway? And the food was so good, so good. You're gonna lose your job now that you're betraying Aizen. But still, they couldn't vote for him physically and on an emotional level. Their minds were toyed with by the epic orgasms induced by Soma's food. Just the fact that Soma accepted this food war knowing he would win against bribed judges is a master flex. Hope you're enjoying the biggest flexes of Anime 15, because we're only getting started. Smash like and subscribe. The hype is real. Next flex. This one's from Light Yagami from Death Note, and he does do some mental flexes throughout the series, but I think none are quite as big as when he's up against Naomi Misora, and he makes believe that he's working for the cops on the Kira case, and, you know, well, spoilery stuff ensues. It's very sad. But when he actually tricks her into giving him her name, and things seem to be going well, he of course has to tell her right before he administers the saddening blow, you know, the whole 40-second thing. He says, oh, fun fact, I'm Kira, you suck, GG. And then Kira proceeds to turn to chat and say, please, can we have an F in the chat for the about to be deceased Naomi Misora? I thought that was so sad. This is like one of the saddest flexes in anime. Damn it, she's a character that was only around for like one episode, and I actually really cared for her. And of course, you have to flex on her at the end there. The absolute psychopath. I hate relating to psychopaths sometimes. First world problems in a nutshell. Next flex. In One Piece, there is this thing known as the world government. The world government is this extremely influential group that's basically the government of the world. Yes, I know. Pretty goddamn self-explanatory there. They have their own morals and ethics that some people may not agree with, some people being the Straw Hat Pirates. And at one point, they capture Robin because they're like, yo, Robin, you're coming with us because you know too much stuff, and we're gonna kill you because, of course, we're very authoritarian and just people. And Robin's like, well, I'm gonna come with you so you don't kill my friends. And then the friends proceed to follow, and they try to still kill the friends anyway. Yes, the logic was definitely sound on Robin's point. Extremely cool. And Robin had one moment in that very same Water 7 Ennis Lobby arc where she said, I want to live where the collective fan base probably filled up a collective 2 city blocks worth of tears, because that moment was so extremely epic. I may not convey the epic sad tones from my excited voice, but I'm trying to rush to talk about a flex here, so I'm sorry if I skip over the emotional hazard and trauma of the situation. I'm talking about when they lit the world government flag on fire. And you know who did it? My boy Usopp, the absolute mad lad that was rapped by none other than G.O.D. Nuxenor. In the One Piece rap cipher by Rustage, link in the description. Extremely cool, Lord Nuxenor, for rapping such an amazing piece. Thank you, Rustage, for giving me the role of God Usopp. But anyway, this is just a theory that Sogeking is actually Usopp. Many people still don't subscribe to this one, but whatever. I'm still sticking by that. I'm an Usopp stan. I believe that he is the Sniper King. I don't know anyone else that could sing as well as Usopp. Well, that was a nice pat on the back there. Point is, you got the Straw Hats here. It's like a group of less than 10 people, and they're going up against the government's HQ right now, or at least one of the HQs. This massive fortified island guarded by hundreds of troops and giants and devil fruit users and CP9, which is basically Navy SEAL badasses that can like walk on air and turn into leopards and crap, and going up against the world government, just trying to get across the grandioseness of the situation. You got your 6 nimbly Straw Hat guys and Frankie. Come on. Think these 6 guys are gonna actually have the audacity to go up against the world? And then Sogeking, who I still believe is Usopp to this day, picked up his legendary legendary artifact, also known as a slingshot, and fired an exploding thingo at the world government's flag. At that moment, these 6 dudes and Frankie declared war on the world. I'm getting shudders almost thinking about this. I should be like super hyped because of the flex, but the emotional scene ended up hitting me instead. Normally when I talk about these big flexes, I'm like super excited. I'm like jumping up and down everywhere, but nope, I'm hit by the emotions on this one. One Piece is too good. So many people don't read it just because it's long, but fam, it is an investment that is 100% worthwhile. In fact, I would argue that there isn't much better to do with your free time. If you have free time anyway, instead of playing your 4,000th game of Fortnite, invest a little bit into One Piece, you know, set you on the adventure of a lifetime. I was gonna talk about how big of a flex igniting the world government's flag to declare war on the entire world government, the most powerful force in the world. And you know I'm serious because it said the world, not Zawaru. And even though the flex was huge, the emotions hit harder. It's friends coming to save another member of their family, and they're willing to go up against any obstacle they can to do it, and they will flex as hard as they need to. Man, I love this scene. Man, Enies Lobby is probably one of the greatest arcs of all time. How can we have a flex that tops this? Oh, I thought of one. Next! Phoenix! The second greatest fight in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3. We got Jotaro versus Darby. I love this fight so much. I've watched it so many goddamn times. In JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which is an anime that you should all watch. I noticed that I'm recommending you a hell of a lot of crap this episode, and you're welcome. But JoJo manages to accentuate the hype moments to just the right degree, and I must say, this is one of the greatest fights ever. If not for Jotaro versus Dio completely stealing the climax of the show and being my favorite fight in all of anime, Jotaro versus Darby would have left a bigger impression on everyone. Basically, in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, you got these stand battles. Every stand has such minute and intricate abilities, you gotta try to predict what your opponent can do. While you don't know what your opponent can do, you are at a massive disadvantage. And this is clearly shown by Darby's stand, who basically will steal your soul if you admit defeat. Not if you verbally admit defeat, but if your soul admits defeat. Which is why he's a gambler. And when he wins gambling matches through cheating, in a way that your opponent obviously can't tell he's cheating, and their soul admits defeat, he then steals the soul. Darby is a force to be reckoned with. Now, the beauty of Darby is there's no reason to actually fight the guy unless he has something that you want back. For example, if he's stolen the soul of one of your friends, then you're gonna have to wager your own soul to go up against him. Or, if you want to figure out the secret to Dio's stand, maybe you'd wager your soul, try to get a glimpse of what he can do. Well, the gang ends up fighting Darby, and he actually steals a few souls of a few of the members of the Stardust Crusaders. I mean, he takes Joseph, and Joseph is probably the greatest gambler ever. And then Jotaro comes to the stage and proceeds to perform one of the greatest flexes of all time. Jotaro not only wagers his soul, not only does he wager Avdol's soul behind him, not only does he wager his dying mother's soul that this entire journey was to protect, but his wager is so much higher than anything Darby has ever seen before. Jotaro must have something good, but the thing is, Jotaro didn't even look at his card. And now all of a sudden Darby's wondering, how could he be so certain to wager so much shiz against me when he knows I'm a mastermind at the game, I'm a mastermind at cheating, I have people everywhere setting the deck. He didn't even look at his cards. Something must have happened. Maybe his stand star platinum moved faster than the speed of light and managed to swap cards around without me noticing. And Darby starts sweating. He starts getting scared. And Jotaro, with a stone cold poker face, bluffs, cause he don't got nothing. But he bluffs so hard. He says, wow, you're starting to get scared. You're starting to sweat. Perhaps you think I'm actually going to win this one. I didn't even look at my cards and you're cowering. Well, I'm gonna even push the envelope further, because when I actually win and I get the souls back, since I wagered so much, you're also gonna need to tell me how Dio's stand works. And this really starts to freak me out, because even if he loses this game and he frees all the souls of the people he's already taken, if he actually tells Jotaro what Dio's stand is, Dio's gonna kill him. He's not gonna kill him in like one of those nice ways. Dio doesn't kill people in nice ways. That's just kind of his MO. And Darby starts absolutely losing his mind. He's clenching his cards. He's sweating. He's breathing. He can't even breathe normally. He can't even get the word call out to call his opponent's raid. He can't speak. The massiveness of this flex is crushing him. Everyone in the vicinity, the dealer, Avdol in the stands, both of them are like gripping things for their life, unable to stand due to the severity of the situation. And Jotaro, cool and composed, smoking a cigarette, is just waiting for Darby to call so Darby would lose. And Darby should win. Darby thinks that Jotaro Jotaro's bluffing, but the bluff is so big and the consequences are so massive. And without him even be able to say, I forfeit or whatever, his soul admits defeat, and therefore it frees the souls of everyone else, and he ages 50 years over the span of a few seconds and falls down completely unconscious in a pool of his own sweat and drool. Jotaro, without looking at his cards, without actually pulling anything against this massive, brilliant cheater guy, flexed his opponent's soul to submission. I'm sorry, did someone say biggest flexes in anime? Because we definitely have a contender for the biggest flex of all time, right? I love this scene. I love Jotaro versus Darby. I guarantee you, it's a 2-episode battle between him and the gang, and I've watched those 2 episodes at least a dozen times. Jotaro versus Darby is classic JoJo's. It is an absolute mind game, and it's brilliant. And Jotaro is an absolute mad lad. Biggest flexes in anime 15. Whamming and gentle wham. Definitely smash like. Definitely subscribe, but we're not done yet. We have the biggest flex of the entire video coming up. And I know you're probably thinking, what? We got Stein beating 7 main characters in a rolly chair. We got Luffy declaring war on the world. We got Lelouche dressing up 1 million people as Zero. Are you seriously telling me, Lord Nuxanor, that your final flex for this video is even greater than all of the aforementioned flexes combined? The answer is yes. The next flex is from one of my favorite female characters in all of anime, Mari Setogaya from Itadaki Seike. And her massive flex is that she's actually a well-written female character. Suck it, anime. You come along with your Sakuras. And I could name a ton more female characters that I just won't for the sake of not getting too much hate thrown at me. When it comes to Sakura, I don't mind making fun. I know that the Sakura fans are going to be upset, but I don't mind because there are no Sakura fans. But we're going to skip all the other haters. But to everyone who loves female characters in anime, just remember that this Gentai literally put out a better female character than all of them combined. Mari Setogaya, huge flex, but the true biggest flex in the actual anime, as opposed to just on a meta level, is when the epic reveal where Mari says to the main character, whose name eludes me because let's be honest, no one cares about the main characters in Gentai, I am not only a vampire, I do not only suck blood, but I'm also a succubus! I suck dick! Whamming and gentle whamming, hope you appreciate it and like this video. This video was very fun to put together. I mixed the biggest flexes in hentai. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a like, 60K, and the next biggest flexes in hentai will be coming out within a week. Subscribe to see when that comes out. Let me know biggest flexes you could think of in the comments so I could actually compile a list for number 16. I have like a solid 20 flexes on the back burner right now, but well, I'm gonna start needing to come up with more eventually if you actually smash that like button. Hope you have yourselves the most wonderful evening, and remember to stay weird, fam.